Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome to another important session of the current event for ESIC 2021 Deputy Director Exam. And I hope that all of you are really preparing well for upcoming ESIC 2021 Deputy Director exams. So my dear learners, in the today's session we will be discussing the 15 most important MCQs from the current event session of ESIC 2021 Deputy Director Exam. So before beginning the session, if you are new to our YouTube channel, kindly subscribe it and press the bell icon to receive all the latest updates of the courses and videos offered by us. And you can also join our Telegram channel to get the access to the PDF of the sessions. To join the Telegram channel, kindly click on the link given in the description below. So let's begin the session. Let's get started. And here is the very first question before all of you that you are required to answer in the comment section below. And this question is from the report which was being recently released, that is the Corruption Perception Index 2021. So in order to answer this question, what you are required to do, you are just required to understand the demand of the question, that is what exactly the question is asking about. See, this question is asking about the correct statements in relation with the Corruption Perception Index 2021. So you are required to identify the correct statements among these three statements and then tell me in the comment section below that what exactly is the right answer of this question. See, we always tell you that all such reports, indexes, schemes, programs or the different initiatives which are being taken by the government are really very important. And apart from that, the reports and indices which are being launched by the important private organizations are also important from the exam point of view. And this is the example of one such kind of index, that is the Corruption Perception Index 2021. So here you can see that the very first statement says that it has been launched by the German organization, that is the Transparency International. It ranks 180 countries and territories by the perceived levels of the public sector corruption, and it is also telling you about that what exactly the different scores tells us about that the performance of that particular country. And the third statement says about the average score of the countries all over the world, which was 43. So when we talk about the right answer to this question, the right answer is both statement first and third are correct, that is option C. So what exactly is wrong about the option 2, about the statement 2, as it says that it ranks 180 countries and territories by the perceived levels of public sector corruption and uses a scale of 0 to 100. See, up till this particular point, this particular statement is correct, but when we move further, that is where 100 is highly corrupt and 0 is very clean. So that part is wrong, as 100 means if a country is getting a score nearby 100, that means it is very clean, and if a country is getting a score nearby 0, then that means that it is highly corrupt. So that is the reason that why the right answer to this question is option C, that is both statement 1 and 3 are correct. So let's discuss this particular report in much more detail. And here you can see the report, that is Corruption Perception Index 2021, which was being launched by Transparency International. So this particular report basically measures the perception of the corruption in the 180 countries all over the world, and it tells us that how does the countries measure up in this particular Corruption Perception Index. And when we talk about this particular report, then this report uses a scale of 0 to 100, where 100 is very clean and 0 is highly corrupt, as we have already discussed. Now when we talk about the key rankings from this particular index, the top performing countries were Denmark, Finland, New Zealand. And when we talk about the nation which was at the bottom of the list, then it was South Sudan on the 180th position. And when we talk about the most important part, that is India's rank, then here you can see that India was being ranked 85th out of 180 countries with a score of 40. And when we talk about the average score all over the world, then it was here, that is 43. So 43 was the average score of the countries all over the world. So I hope that this is very much clear to all of you. And now when we talk about some other important parts, see here once again there are the key rankings which have been mentioned here. Now let's move on to the next question, which is here on your screen. And this is one of the very basic question, and the question is, the first BRICS Sherpas meeting of the 2022 was being held recently. See, recently this BRICS Sherpa meeting was being held, and now you are required to tell me that which one of the following countries has recently taken up the chairmanship of the BRICS for year 2022. See, we all know that BRICS is a group of countries. Okay, So when we talk about the chairmanship of this particular group, then which country has taken the chairmanship of this particular group? You are required to answer that in the comment section below, whether it was South Korea, USA, China or France. And the right answer to this question is option C, that is China. So here you can see that the first BRICS Sherpas meeting for year 2022 was being held recently, and my dear learners, China is the country which has taken up the chairmanship of the BRICS for year 2022. And now when we talk about the BRICS, see, it is the basically it is a group of countries, and there are 5 members in this particular group, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, which has been headquartered in Shanghai, China. So I hope that this is very much clear. This was a really a very basic question. And now let's move on to the next question of the today's session, which is based on the Swachhata Startup Challenge. So recently the Swachhata Startup Challenge was being launched by the government, and in this particular question you are required to identify the correct statement with respect to the above mentioned challenge, that which of the following statements which are being mentioned here about the Swachhata Startup Challenge are correct. So the very first statement says that it has been launched by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. See, whenever we study these kind of topics, that is any program, any challenge or any kind of scheme or initiative, the very first thing that you are required to cover is that the name of the organization, the name of the ministry which is basically responsible for the initiation of that particular initiative, program or the challenge or the scheme. Okay, then after that you are required to cover the aim of that particular part, and then the other important features from that particular thing. So when we talk about this particular question, here you can see that the very first question is about the launching, that which of one of the following organizations was behind the launching of this particular challenge. So here it has been mentioned that it has been launched by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in partnership with DPIIT and the agency Franchise D Development. Okay, now when we talk about the second statement, it is talking about the aim of this particular challenge, that is to provide an impetus to innovative startups to come forward and drive catalytic transformation in the sanitation and waste management sector. So basically this particular challenge was being launched in order to provide impetus to the startups so that they can collaborate and work towards the sanitation and waste management sector in India. The third statement says that it is going to invite solutions across the 4 thematic areas, and the name of these thematic areas have been mentioned, that is social inclusion, zero dump, elastic waste, sorry, plastic waste and the transparency. And my dear learners, the right answer to this question is option D, that is all of the above. That means all these statements mentioned here about the Swachhata Startup Challenge are correct. So here you can see that when we talk about this particular part, so this particular challenge was being launched by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in partnership with the DPIIT, that is Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, in association with agency Franchise D Development. Okay, and when we talk about the implementation partner for this particular challenge, then it is going to be Willgrow, and the technology partner will be Amazon Web Services. So these are the important information about this particular challenge. Now this particular challenge is going to be open to the startups which are registered in India and the French actors which are collaborating with an Indian startups as a joint venture. Now what exactly is the aim of this particular challenge? See, basically this particular challenge has been launched to support 10 startups which are working at the nexus of the technology and social innovation to solve India's waste management challenges. So basically whatever the challenges which India is facing in its waste management sector, this particular challenge has been launched in order to bring forward the startups with their immense potential so that they can come up with the innovative solutions to resolve the issues that are being faced by India and its waste management challenges, waste management sector. Okay, and how this can be achieved? This can be achieved by improving the efficiency of the waste management, increasing the social impact, the improving transparency of the waste value chain, and reducing the usage of single-use plastic. And when we talk about the different 4 themes under which the different kind of activities towards this particular challenge are going to be taken, then here the very first kind of theme is the social inclusion, which is going to basically focus on the maintenance of community and public toilets, and also the disposal of used water and fecal sludge and sewage. Now there are other three important themes as well that are being mentioned here. That is the zero term, plastic waste and transparency, which are the three different themes under which different kind of activities are going to be taken place under this particular challenge. So I hope that this is very much clear to all of you. This particular challenge is very much clear, why this was launched is very much clear, and what are the different themes under which different kind of activities are going to take place under this particular challenge. Now let us move on to the next question from our today's session, which is here on your screen. And the next question is about project Nimer. Okay, so in this particular question, once again you are required to identify the correct statement with respect to this particular project, that is Nimer. So let's discuss these particular statements and let's see that what exactly is the right answer. So the very first statement once again is talking about the organization which is behind the launch of this particular project, that is being given here, that is the National Health Mission in collaboration with the Piramal, Swasthya and Cisco systems, and this particular project has been launched in Assam. The second statement is talking about the aim, that is to strengthen the public health delivery and digital health infrastructure in the state of Assam by facilitating the Ayushman Bharat digital mission. And the third statement is that this particular initiative is based on the Piramal Swasthya's indigenous integrated health technology platform, that is Amrit. So my dear learners, when we talk about the right answer to this question, the right answer is all of the above. So here you can see that this project Nimer has been launched by the National Health Mission in collaboration with the Piramal, Swasthya and Cisco systems, and this particular project has been launched in the state of Assam. And here you can see some more details from here. And when we talk about the Amrit, so my dear learners, this Amrit, it stands for accessible medical records via integrated technologies, and it is an integrated technology platform which creates and stores electronic health records of the beneficiaries for the public primary healthcare. So that means that with the help of this Amrit, you can just keep maintain the record of all these beneficiaries of the public primary health care, and this particular record will be taken in the electronic manner. So here you can see that it is very much clear. And now when we talk about the National Health Mission, so the National Health Mission was being launched to provide universal access to the fair, affordable and quality medical services which are being accountable and meet people's needs. And it basically includes two submissions, that is the National Rural Health Mission and the National Urban Health Mission. See, whenever you are covering such kind of news, you are always required to go to the background. That means here we can say that when this particular project Nimer has been launched with the collaboration of the Piramal, Swasthya and Cisco systems in Assam, it was being launched by the National Health Mission. And this National Health Mission becomes really important, and it is really important for you as well to cover that what exactly this National Health Mission is all about. Okay, so I hope that this is very much clear to all of you. And now let us move on to the next question, which is based on the Ishram Portal, and I'm marking the star here as this particular topic is really very important, although it was launched last year, but still it is really very important to be covered. And once again in this question, you are required to choose the correct option using the codes which are being mentioned above. So here you can see that the very first statement is saying that it has been launched by the Ministry of Labor and Employment. The second statement says that under this, the worker has been issued an Ishram card which contains a 12-digit unique number. That means the workers who will register themselves on this Ishram portal, they will be issued with the Ishram card, and this Ishram card will be containing a unique number which will be of 12 digits. Now the third statement says that these registered workers will be eligible for rupees 5 lakh on death or permanent disability and rupees 3 lakh on the partial disability. So which of the following statements are correct as per the Ishram portal? See, the right answer to this question is option B, that is both statement 1 and 2 are correct. So what exactly is wrong in the third statement? Let's discuss this in detail. So here you can see before discussing the Ishram portal, let's see that why exactly this was in the news recently. And here you can see that the Union Minister of Labor and Employment has recently interacted with these national level office bearers of the unorganized workers unions and associations, and that was the reason that this particular portal was in the news. And when we talk about the Ishram portal, then it was being launched by the Ministry of Labor and Employment. And my dear learners, when we talk about that why exactly the last point of the previous of that particular question was wrong, because it said that the registered workers will be eligible for rupees 5 lakh on the death or permanent disability, but it is incorrect. The right part for that is, the right value for that is rupees 2 lakh on the death or permanent disability and rupees 1 lakh in case of the partial disability. So I hope that this is very much clear to all of you. This particular portal is very much clear. Why it was being launched, it is very much clear. And now let us move on to the next question of our today's session, which is here on your screen. So the next question is about the Directorate General of Trade Remedies, which has recently issued 56 final findings. Okay, in the anti-dumping, countervailing duties and safeguard investigations. And once again, what you are required to do, you are required to tell me that which one of the following statements above this Directorate General of Trade Remedies are correct. So here once again, go through these particular statements, analyze them, and then tell me in the comment section below that which statement is correct as per this Directorate General of the Trade Remedies. See, the questions about such kind of bodies can also be asked in the exam, and that is the reason that we have brought and covered such kind of topic in our today's session. And when we talk about this particular statement, the very first statement says that this DGTR, it is a quasi-judicial body which functions under the aegis of Ministry of Finance, Government of India. And then it is discussing about the aim of this particular body, that it has been established to create a level playing for the Indian industry. And the third statement says that all the investigations which are being undertaken by the DGTR are required to be concluded within 12 months, which is extendable up to 18 months. So the right answer for this question will be option C, that is both statement 2 and 3 are correct. So what exactly is wrong about the statement 1? See, it says that it functions under the aegis of the Ministry of Finance. So this particular information is incorrect about this Directorate General of Trade Remedies, as it is associated with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry and not with the Ministry of Finance, and that is why this particular statement was incorrect. So let's discuss this in more detail. And here you can see that why exactly it was in news. It was in news because the Directorate General of Trade Remedies has recently issued 56 final findings in the anti-dumping, countervailing, safeguard investigations. So when we talk about this particular body, that is the Directorate General of Trade Remedies, so it works under the Department of Commerce. Okay, and now when we talk about this particular body, then it was earlier known as the Directorate General of Anti-Dumping and Allied Duties, and this was renamed in May 2018 as an integrated single window agency for providing comprehensive and swift trade defense mechanisms in India. So when we talk about this body, it is a quasi-judicial body which functions under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And why it was being launched? It was being launched to create a level playing for the Indian industry, and it serves as a watchdog against the unfair trade practices. See, many a times the unfair trade practices are being used by the exporter countries or the foreign countries, and to protect our domestic manufacturers and to protect our domestic exporters, this particular body was being constituted in order to provide them level playing field for these particular Indian industries. And that is why we can say that it protects the domestic industry from the surge in imports that harms the Indian industry. Now what exactly will be the process as per which this particular body works? See, first of all, the injured Indian industrial person or the company is going to file an application with the DGTR, and then this DGTR is going to conduct an elaborative investigation into this complaint which is being filed by the Indian domestic producer. Okay, after this particular thing, after the registration of this application, what will we do? This DGTR is going to invite applications of the all stakeholders, which comprises of domestic industry, foreign producers, exporters, importers, users and their associations, and then it is going to gather evidence in support of this particular complaint which has been filed by the Indian domestic producers. And after, on the basis of these particular evidences and after examining all these evidences properly, then a decision will be taken that whether there will be whether the anti-dumping duty will be imposed on such kind of products or not. And all such investigations are required to be concluded within a period of 12 months, and this period is extendable only up to 18 months. So that was all from this particular part that you are required to remember from the exam point of view, and I really hope that this topic of the Directorate General of the Trade Remedies is very much clear to all of you. And now let us move on to the next particular question, which is here on your screen. So the next question is about the tiger conservation in India, and you are required to analyze these particular statements and in relation with the tiger conservation in India, and then tell me in the comment section below that which one of the following options are correct in relation with the conservation of tigers in India. So the very first statement says that India has achieved the remarkable feat of doubling the tiger population in 2018 itself, 4 years ahead of the targeted year 2022. The second statement says that the budgetary allocation for the tiger conservation has increased from rupees 185 crores in 2014 to rupees 300 crore in year 2022. The third statement says that the 14 tiger reserves in India have been awarded with the international CATS accreditation, and efforts are on to bring in more tiger reserves under this particular accreditation. Okay, so the right answer to this question is option D, that is all of the above. That means all these statements about this tiger conservation in India are correct. So let's discuss this news particularly in more detail and see. Recently, a fourth Asia Ministerial Conference was being held on the tiger conservation, and India has also participated in it. And during this particular conference, only some important information was being shared about the tiger conservation in India. And that is why we have covered this particular part in our today's session. And when we discuss the different information which was being launched in relation with the tiger conservation in India, you can see here that it was being mentioned and it was being announced that India has achieved doubling the tiger population in 2018 itself. But as the world target was of the 2022, but India has achieved this particular target 4 years ahead of the world, that is till 2018 only. And my dear learners, when we talk about the budgetary allocation for the tiger conservation, it has increased to 300 crore in year 2022 from 185 crores in 2014. And approximately 4.3 million man days of the employment are being generated by 51 tiger reserves in India. From here you can also get the idea that there are a total of 51 tiger reserves in India, and collectively they produces 4.3 million man days of employment. Okay, so I hope that this is very much clear. Some additional information are being mentioned here, you can go through them. Now we are moving towards the next question for today's session, which is here on your screen. So the next question is about the India's first district good governance index, and once again you are required to choose the correct option using the codes mentioned above, and here you are just required to identify the correct statement in relation with this India's first district good governance index. See here, I want to tell you that this was the very first district good governance index which was being launched, and this is basically based on the good governance index which was being launched last year. And on the similar lines, that particular index has been launched for the districts. Okay, and which was the very first union territory for which this particular good governance index was being launched? That was Jammu and Kashmir. So that was the very first union territory for which this particular first district good governance index was being launched. So here you can see that the very first question, it says that it was prepared by DARPG in collaboration with the government of Jammu and Kashmir. The second statement says that Jammu and Kashmir has become India's second UT to have district good governance index, but as we have already told you that this was India's first district good governance index, so that means that the second statement stands incorrect. Okay, now the third statement says that it has been released for 20 districts of UT of Jammu and Kashmir, which measures the diversity of governance model in the union territory. See, I want to add one more point here, that basically this particular index was being launched in order to analyze the impacts of the different interventions which have been taken by the government, by the central government, by the union territory government for the betterment of living of people which are living in those districts. So that is the reason that this particular index was being launched. And when we talk about the right answer for this question, the right answer is option C, that is both statement 1 and 3 are correct, as we have already told you that why the statement 2 was incorrect. So here you can see from the headline here from the PIB that recently the India's first district good governance index was being launched, and union territory of Jammu and Kashmir has become the very first district to have such kind of district good governance index in India. And it was being prepared by whom? By the Department of administrative reforms and public grievances in association with the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. And here some important information has been mentioned here. You can just go through them. Now, when we talk about this particular index, basically it measures the diversity of the governance model in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. And this particular point has we have already discussed that under this index, the policies, schemes and the programs of the central as well as the state governments have been monitored at the district level. Okay, and it is also going to induce competitions among the district level, and it is also expected that this particular district good governance index is going to become a very good model for other districts, and it is going to expand to the other districts of the India as well, and that's how it is going to help these districts to learn from other districts as well, and it will also going to let them know that what exactly are the areas in which they are required to work on in order to improve their rankings. Okay, so I hope that this is very much clear to all of you, and here are some key findings from this particular index. And here you can see this particular report has mentioned that Jammu and Kashmir has performed really very good in various sectors such as the agriculture and allied sector, commerce and industry sector, human resources development sector, public health sector, among some sectors. And when we talk about the district which has topped this particular index in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, then it was Jammu district which has managed to top the list, and this particular district was followed by Doda, Samba, Pulwama and Srinagar in the Union Territory. So I hope that this is very much clear to all of you. And now let's move on to the next question from our today's session, and this question is based on a very important scheme, that is the Pradhanmantri Fasal Bima Yojna. See, in this particular session till now we have discussed the different kinds of reports, the challenges, some other initiatives which have been taken, some projects, and now comes the very important part, that is the schemes. And these schemes are really very important from the exam point of view, and you're really required to cover them. Okay, so now when we talk about the scheme in the question, it is Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojna, and what you are required to do in this particular question, you are required to identify the correct statements in relation with this particular scheme, and then tell me in the comment section below that what exactly is the right answer to the question. So the very first statement about the scheme tells us about that which ministry has launched this particular scheme and in which year, that is 2016 by the Ministry of Agriculture and Welfare and Farmer Welfare. Okay, the second statement says that it is a centrally sponsored scheme, and the third statement says that this scheme, that is the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojna, was basically launched to reduce the premium burden on the farmers and to ensure the early settlement of the crop assurance claim for the full insured sum. And when we talk about the right answer to this question, then the right answer is option D. That means all these statements which are mentioned here about this particular scheme are absolutely correct. And now let's discuss this scheme in much more detailed manner. And when we talk about, see, we have already discussed the basic points, that what exactly was the ministry, the launch year, and what exactly was the aim of this particular scheme. Now when we talk about the budgetary allocation for fiscal year 2022, then it was 16,000 crore for this particular scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojna. And when we talk about the objective of this particular scheme, then under this scheme the government is going to provide financial support to the farmers which are suffering the crop losses or the damages which are arising out of unforeseen events taking place. Okay, now with this particular financial support to the farmers, what they are basically targeting, they are targeting to stabilize the income of these farmers, and apart from that they are also going to encourage these farmers to adopt innovative and modern agricultural practices. So I hope that this is very much clear to all of you. Now comes the last point that all of you are required to go through, that is the beneficiaries, that who will be the beneficiaries for this particular Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojna. So kindly go through it, it has been mentioned here. Now we are moving towards the next question, which is here on your screen. And the next question is once again a very basic question, that is which one of the following has become the world's first government to become 100% paperless. So in the last year there was one of the governments which has become paperless, and now in this question you are required to identify the name of the government, that whether it was Dubai government, Indonesian government, Malaysian government or the Tunisian government. And the right answer to this question is option A, that is Dubai government. And here you can see that this Dubai government has become the world's first government to become 100% paperless. And my dear learners, the citizens can access all the digital services through the Dubai Now application, and that means they are basically promoting the digital culture in their their country, and that is the reason that they have announced to become the world's first government, as this step is going to save them more than 1.3 billion dirham, that is USD 350 millions, and over 14 million of the man hours. That means that this particular step which this country has taken, which this particular region has taken, this is really very beneficial for their particular part. Okay, and now let's move on to the next question, which is here on your screen, and this question basically based on the Sagarmala scheme. Okay, so this particular scheme, once again a scheme is in the news, and that is the reason that you are really required to cover it very comprehensively. And now, my dear learners, in this particular scheme, again you are required to identify the correct statement about this particular scheme, about this Sagarmala scheme. And the very first statement says about the nodal ministry of this particular scheme and the year in which this particular scheme was being launched. The second statement is talking about the aim of this particular scheme, that this scheme was being launched to reduce the logistic cost for both domestic and EXIM cargo with optimized infrastructure investment. The third statement says that the Sagarmala Development Company Limited, established under the Ministry of Shipping via the Companies Act 2013, is going to provide equity support for the projects. And the right answer to this question is option C, that is all of the above. That means all these statements mentioned above are correct about the Sagarmala scheme. So let's discuss this scheme in much more detailed manner. So this scheme was being approved in year 2015, and the nodal ministry for the scheme was Ministry of Shipping. And why is what it was being launched? It was being launched to reduce the logistic cost for both domestic and EXIM cargo with the optimized infrastructure investment. Okay, and what are the different components for under this particular scheme, that is the Sagarmala scheme? That is the port modernization and new port development, port connectivity enhancement, port linked industrialization, coastal community development, and the coastal shipping and inland waterways transport. Okay, now when we talk about the other key features of this particular scheme, then this particular under this scheme, the Sagarmala Development Company Limited will be established under the Ministry of Shipping via the Companies Act 2013 with an initial authorized share capital of rupees 1000 crore. Okay, and under this scheme, India's 7,500 kilometer long coastline and 14,500 kilometer of potentially navigable waterways and strategic locations will be the key focus under this particular scheme. So I hope that this is very much clear to all of you. And now let's move on to the next question. And the next question is, what is the name of the expert panel which was being launched by the United Nations bodies to formulate a global plan? See, recently, to formulate a global plan for the prevention of the spread of diseases from animals to humans, one of the expert panels was being launched by the United Nations bodies. And here in this question, you are just required to identify the name of that expert panel, that whether it was One Health, All Health, Only Health, or One Earth. So the right answer to this question is option A, that is One Health, which was being name of that expert panel which was being launched by the World Health Organization, United Nations Environment Program, the World Organization for Animal Health, and the Food and Agriculture Organization. So these organizations were basically behind the launch of that particular panel, that which was named as One Health high level expert panel. And why it was being launched? It was being launched to formulate a plan against the spread of the diseases from animals to humans. So I hope that this is very much clear, and this was a very basic question that you can remember very easily. And now let's move on to the next question. So the next question is one of the very important question, as this says that which one of the following has recently established a new internal fintech department as the highest organizational unit within the organization for workflow allocation. See, this particular question is really very easy to answer, as it is talking about the internal fintech department, and out of these organizations which have been mentioned here, can you really think that which will be the right answer? See, this fintech is basically responsible, it is basically relatable with the financial technologies. Okay, and majorly this particular the contribution and the work is being catered under this particular part by the Reserve Bank of India. So that is why the right answer to this question is Reserve Bank of India. So here we can see that Reserve Bank of India has set up a new internal financial technology department in the RBI, and what it is basically going to do, it is going to deal with the inter-regulatory coordination and internal coordination on the financial technologies, and all the latest steps which will be taken by the RBI all these steps will be catered by this particular department only, and it is going to promote the innovation in the area of fintech sector, and apart from that it is also going to identify the challenges and opportunities which are being associated with the fintech sector, and it is going to address them in a timely manner. Now, what exactly is fintech? See, fintech is basically any technology which is being deployed to augment, streamline, or digitize the traditional financial services for businesses and consumers. And basically, this particular part is known as fintech. So, my dear learners, the various examples have been mentioned here about it. That is the blockchain network, peer-to-peer payment services, or the mobile banking. So all these things are the basic examples of the financial technologies. So I hope that this is very much clear. Some important information about this particular department has been mentioned here. You can go through them on your own, okay, for the value addition. And now let us move on to the next question, which is here on your screen. So the next question is about, once again, another important mission from the government, that is the digital government mission, and all such kind of initiatives which are being taken by the government. We have already told you that they are really very important from the exam point of view. And when we talk about this particular digital government mission, in this question, once again, you are required to identify the correct option. And here the very first statement says that this particular mission has been launched by the Ministry of Science and Technology. And why it was being launched? Basically, it was launched to deliver the government services to the citizens through the help of advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence and machine learning, and it will be aided by the well-built platforms like Digital India, Aadhaar, National Mission on Education, using the ICT, then Digit Dhan Abhiyan BPO scheme, and Unified Payment Interface. So what exactly is the right answer to this question? The right answer is both statement 2 and 3 are correct. And why so? Because the statement 1, the ministry with which has launched this particular digital government mission, is incorrect. So which was the right ministry which has launched this particular mission? Then it was Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, which was basically behind the launch of the digital government mission, and this mission basically was being launched to imbibe automatic processes. So when we talk about this particular mission, basically the key aim of this particular mission was to deliver the government services to the citizens with the help of advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence and machine learning. That means this particular mission was being launched in order to employ artificial intelligence and machine learning in order to deliver the different government services to the citizens. Okay, so that was all from this particular part, and this mission will be aided by the different platforms, and the name of those platforms which we have already discussed in the question itself. So that was all from this particular question, and now let's move on to the last and final question of our today's session, that is the RBI report on the farm mechanization. Which report? Basically this report tells us about the mechanization in the farming sector, and that is the reason that you are really required to cover it very comprehensively. And when we talk about this question, the demand of the question is to identify the correct option in relation with this particular report. So kindly go through all these statements and then tell me in the comment section below that what exactly is the right answer to this question. And the very first statement is talking about the farm mechanization in India. It is basically talking about what exactly is the status of farm mechanization in India. So this states that it is much lower as compared to other advanced economies and the BRICS countries. The second statement says that 70% of the Indian farmers are small and marginal. And the third statement says that the current level of farm mechanization is estimated at 40 to 45%. And my dear learners, all these statements which are being mentioned here about the farm mechanization in India are correct. So that is why the right answer to this question is option C, that is all of the above. So here you can see that on what lines the different questions can be framed. The questions can be asked from such kind of reports, the missions, the challenges, the schemes which we have discussed till now in this particular session. And now let's discuss this final report in much more detailed manner. And here you can see that the Reserve Bank of India report, basically RBI has released this particular report which tells us about the extent of farm mechanization in India. And it says that the farm mechanization in India has increased over the years, and this level of the farm mechanization is estimated at 40 to 45% all over India. And now when we move on to some other key details of the report, then this particular report says that the farm mechanization in India, although it has increased, but it is till now much lower as compared to other advanced economies and the BRICS countries. And the percentages, when we talk about the country which is basically having the highest percentage of farm mechanization, then it was United States, and then the Western European region is also having the same kind of percent in the farm mechanization, followed by Russia with the 80%, Brazil and China. Now when we talk about the farm mechanization, then this report says that it has the potential to enhance the agricultural productivity by 30%, and that is why we are analyzing the extent of farm mechanization in India, so that we can improve this particular part, as it is really going to improve and enhance the agricultural productivity by 30%, and it is also going to reduce the inputs cost by 20%. That means it is going to be a win-win situation for the Indian farmers. And now when we talk about this particular report, it also says that 70% of the Indian farmers are small and marginal, and that is the reason that they cannot access the tractors which are priced at 6 to 7 lakh rupees. So there are some other important informations which are being mentioned here. You can go through them for the value addition. So my dear learners, that was all from the today's session, and I really believe that today's session was really useful and fruitful to all of you. And my dear learners, I want to tell you that recently, yesterday, the union budget has been launched. So all of you are requested to go through the budget as well, because it is really very important from the exam point of view. And so kindly go through the budget. And also I want to wish you all the best for your preparation for the ESIC 2021 Deputy Director exam. So that was all from the today's session of the current events for the ESIC 2021 Deputy Director exam, and I really think that today's session was useful and fruitful to all of you. If you have liked the session, please give a thumbs up in the comment section below, and if you have any queries, you can drop us a mail at hello@edutap.co.in, and you can also call us at 814-620-7241. So thank you for joining us. Wish you all happy learning.